The war in Ukraine has already led to innovations in trench warfare. Drones are destroying soldiers even in the trenches. It is no coincidence that the bodies of Russian soldiers are now piling up in the trenches. Mass mechanized assaults in open terrain have effectively disappeared along the Ukrainian front line, says Ruslan Muzychuk, spokesperson for the National Guard of Ukraine. Ukrainian radio reports they have been replaced by a new reality. Wide kill zones formed as a result of the large-scale use of drones. According to him, modern combat operations now represent a combination of airstrikes, artillery, and intensive drone activity on both sides of the front line. We are talking about kill zones because there are no longer mass mechanized assaults in open areas. What we see now is a combination of airstrikes, artillery, and drone operations on both sides of the front line, he explained. The Ukrainian spokesperson emphasized that a kill zone is no longer a narrow strip between opposing positions. It has evolved into a much broader area of destruction. A kill zone is not just the area between our and Russian positions. It can extend beyond the defensive line, and it must be calculated in both directions, he said. According to the National Guard assessments, the depth of these kill zones can reach up to 30 kilometers, primarily due to the active use of drones by both Russia and the Ukrainian defense forces. It can reach up to 30 kilometers because Russian troops use drones, and from our side, the sector is also covered, Muzychuk stressed. Such zones are already being recorded across several operationally critical directions. Right now on the Kupiansk axis, the Pokrovsk axis, and in the Dobropilya area, kill zones are present virtually everywhere, the Ukrainian spokesperson noted. He added that the most intense engagement zone is 5 to 10 kilometers, but strikes are regularly recorded much deeper. We have seen strikes even against frontline settlements up to 30 kilometers away, Muzychuk concluded. In this case, the fighting in Ukraine no longer resembles the trench warfare of World War I. Instead, drones have erased the solid front line by creating a kill zone. The skies over battlefields are now blackened by drones. Some carry cameras and thermal detectors, others are equipped with bombs and guns. Some merely lie on the ground beside paths and roads until stirred to life by a passing soldier or vehicle. They use electronic signals and are steered by impossible-to-jam fiber optic cables. Counter-drones aim to block them while also hunting for the drone pilots hunkered down dozens of kilometers from the front. The result is a grey area of chaos stretching some 20 kilometers from the front where drones hunt for soldiers. The wounded are left to die because it's so difficult to evacuate them, and supplies of ammunition, food and water are almost impossible to move up to the fighting troops. Drones played a key role in the fighting from the earliest days of the war in 2022, when Ukraine celebrated the successes of Turkish Bayraktar drones against Russian armored columns. Despite that, both Ukraine and Russia initially prepared to fight a classic war marked by artillery duels, mechanized columns, and defensive trenches, Palisa said. In 2023 to 2024, however, the war changed and trenches started disappearing, said Ivan Sekach, spokesperson for the Ukrainian Army's 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade, which is fighting in the eastern Dnipropetrovsk region. Instead of long lines of trenches, the outnumbered and outgunned Ukrainian army created strong points and observation posts and relied on drones to make up for a shortage of 155mm artillery ammunition. In response, the Russian army began to reduce the size of its assault units because Ukrainian drones proved capable of pinpointing and destroying larger troop concentrations. Rather than the large-scale meat wave attacks that characterized earlier Russian assaults when large numbers of men were hurled at Ukrainian defenders, Russia is now attacking in small groups, said Colonel Vladislav Voloshin, spokesperson for the Ukrainian Army's South Command. It takes time for Russians to assemble a storming group. They are crawling, hiding, It takes 2 to 3 days for them to gather a group able to storm our positions, Voloshin said.
Former Deputy Defense Minister Colonel General Yuri Sadovenko has died in Moscow at the age of 56. TASS reported this, citing his entourage. Yuri Sadovenko died on December 25 due to heart disease, the agency's source said. Yuri Sadovenko was born on September 11, 1969, in Ukraine and graduated from the Ryazan Higher Airborne Command School, served in the army for 4 years, then transferred to the Ministry of Emergency Situations, where he became an assistant to the head of that agency, Sergei Shoigu, then headed his office, and in 2007, in the same position, he transferred, along with his boss, to the Moscow Region Administration. In early 2013, 2 months after Shoigu's appointment as defense minister, Sadovenko was appointed to the same ministry, becoming the minister's chief of staff. Media outlets described him as one of Shoigu's closest allies. In May 2024, amid a wave of corruption scandals within the Ministry of Defense, Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree dismissing Sadovenko. He was replaced by Oleg Savliev, an auditor with the Accounts Chamber. Media outlets mentioned Sadovenko in connection with the criminal investigation of another of Shoigu's deputy generals, Timur Ivanov. It was discovered that he had been living with TV presenter Maria Kativa, who also served as an advisor to the Minister of Defense. In 2020, a journalistic investigation revealed that Kativa had previously been married to Sadovenko. Their declarations for the period 2014 to 2018 matched many key details. In 2016 and 2018, she announced the births of a daughter and a son on social media. Judging by the photos and captions, they bore the patronymics Yurievna and Yuryevik. Experts say that struggle for power, wealth and authority in the dark corridors of Moscow is very tough, merciless. In Russian political culture, the losers in such struggles pay with their lives. Recall, recently, Russian general was killed early Monday when a bomb detonated underneath his car in southern Moscow, Russian law enforcement authorities said, making it the third such killing of a senior defense official since last December. Lieutenant General Fanil Sarvarov, 56, the head of the Operational Training Department at Russia's General Staff, died from his wounds, Russia's investigative committee said in a statement. Sarvarov is the third Russian general to have been killed since December 2024, when Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, the chief of the military's nuclear, biological and chemical protection forces, died after a bomb hidden on an electric scooter near his apartment exploded. In April, another blast killed Lieutenant General Yaroslav Moskalik, who served as the deputy chief of the Russian General Staff's main operational directorate. A suspected perpetrator was arrested shortly after the explosion. Sarvarov had led the General Staff's operational training department since 2016. Russian media reported that he had taken part in the Chechen Wars and was involved in Russia's military campaign in Syria in 2015 and 2016.